Good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you are watching this video, and welcome to my official top 10 coaster ranking for 2025. Yes, I know this is a bit late. I was a bit busy with work and other projects for this channel, but you know what they say, better late than never. I have been a roller coaster enthusiast for the longest time I can remember, but I've never gotten around to seeing which ones were my favorite. While my selection of theme parks may be a bit limited as of now, I can confidently say I have been to many parks with some elite coasters. So today, we are finally going to see which ones are my favorites as we count down my top 10. Without further ado, let's get right into the ranking. Kicking off our list at number 10 is going to be Maverick and Intamin Blitz at Cedar Point. This ride is absolutely out of control. There are so many intense elements on Maverick, and it would be close to impossible to list them all in this segment. Starting out with that absurd beyond vertical first drop, which, due to its small height, is emphasized even more so than usual as you are launched out of your seat, then immediately dip underneath yourself, feeling every bit of those 95 degrees. Perhaps the most iconic part of Maverick are the rapid transitions. These quick changes in direction give a nice pop of ejector airtime and occur a few times during the ride, especially in the first half. The horseshoe roll is a good change of pace after the insane first half that just happened. They aren't the best inversions in the world, but they serve a purpose as a somewhat break from the intensity. That break is short-lived though, as Maverick then immediately launches out of the tunnel at 70 miles per hour, giving a great sense of speed. The second half is perhaps just as good as the first, with the Stengel dives giving out some insane whip to give an insane finale to an insane ride. While Maverick may have lost its iconic Heartline roll before it even opened, this is still an absolutely wild ride that still surprises me to this day. At number 9 is going to be Pantherian and Intamin Giga at King's Dominion. Intensity, the ride. Although I haven't officially ridden this after its retheme, it still has the amazing layout filled with intense moment after intense moment. That first drop into the first turn is probably the most intense coaster element I have ever experienced, and probably will ever experience. Now, I know this moment is a bit controversial with the general public, however, to me that does not really matter. Any coaster that attempts to push the limits of positive G-forces always gets me excited for more, and that is why I love Pantherian so much. It may not have many airtime moments, which, if you are a fan of the channel, you would know that airtime is my favorite aspect of coasters, but with its high intensity combined with its pure speed, makes for an amazing coaster all around. We cannot forget about what makes this ride what it is, the synapse. There are about 4 or 5 rapid changes in direction on this ride that are taken at a speed almost unheard of on any other coaster, which gives it the identity it has. Yes, the trim brake on the return run does kill the pacing in the second half, but in reality, this is kind of necessary for the final snap since it would quite possibly be a bit too intense if taken at top speed. Besides that, this is an incredible coaster that is fairly simple to marathon, given the fact that pretty much no one rides it. We aren't going to talk about those new lead cars though. At number 8 is going to be Skyrush and Intamin Hyper at Hershey Park. One of the most polarizing coasters in the industry. You either love this ride or hate it. There is no in between. As you can probably tell, I love this coaster. Surprisingly though, I have never ridden this with the old restraints, and seeing how high it is on this list, I believe I would have loved this either way. Regardless, this ride has many intense elements on it. That first drop is perhaps one of the most insane drops on any coaster period, with the kink that it has in the middle of it. That gives a unique double airtime moment on what would already be an amazing first drop. A lot of enthusiasts complain about the weak layout it has, though. I can somewhat agree with them, as the elements on Skyrush can get a tiny bit repetitive. But those repetitive elements are hard hitters in my opinion, which makes this ride all the more great. The intense ejector hills deliver some of the better airtime moments on a coaster, and the Outer Banks give out a solid amount of whip coming out of them. While its short layout does hinder it a bit, Skyrush packs a whole lot into that time, making for an elite coaster. At number 7 is going to be Twisted Timbers, an RMC hybrid at King's Dominion. If Pantherian is Intensity the ride, Twisted Timbers would be Airtime the ride. Aside from a few turns or two, every single element on this ride is an airtime hill. And let me tell you, every single one of those hills hit hard, giving out some elite airtime moments. Right out the gate, this ride pulls off a unique element on its own, a barrel roll down drop. This is such a unique element and flows very nicely throughout as it picks up its initial speed. After the overbank, Twisted Timbers then ascends into some of the best airtime moments on a coaster, the triple camelbacks. Each one of these hills were perfectly crafted to give out the best airtime imaginable as the train charges through them all for elite moments of flowjector airtime. Now, this ride is not all about the airtime, as there are plenty of wonky elements featured here. The cutback inversion, trick track double up, and outer bank turnaround are some of the weirder elements on a coaster, but they somehow flow very nicely on this ride, and mixes up the ride experience to keep riders on their toes. The inversions are decent and give a good change of pace from all the airtime hills, but RMCs were never known for their inversions anyway, so it doesn't lose too many points because of it. Overall, this is an absolute elite airtime machine, and well deserving of this spot on the list. At number 6 is going to be Fury 325, a B&M Giga at Carowinds. A ride on Fury is almost indescribable given the speed it travels at. With the height that it stands at, the first drop seems to last forever as it quickly rises to a speed of 95 miles per hour. Fury uses this speed to its advantage as there are many elite low to the ground moments featured on this ride. While the first half may appear to be just simple turns, it does not feel that way when on the train. This ride manages to maintain this speed all the way up to the unique treble clef turnaround, which gives a surprising airtime pop at the peak. The second half is then airtime focused to burn off all the speed it has and serves its purpose very well, seeing as the airtime executed on those hills are some of the better moments on any B&M. Now, Fury is far from a perfect ride, as the massive helix does kind of kill some of the amazing pacing it had from the first half, but as mentioned previously, the second half serves as a way to burn off all the speed it had, so it kind of makes sense why that would be where it is. Fury then caps off its elite ride experience by throwing in some solid airtime hills, which are surprising moments of airtime given the relatively slower speed towards the end. This ride is truly special with the fact that it utilizes its one gimmick of speed to its absolute advantage, and I cannot think of any other coaster that executes it as well as this one. At number 5 is going to be El Toro, an Intamin prefab Woody at Six Flags Great Adventure. Quite possibly the best wooden coaster out there, and most definitely my most ridden coaster ever. There is nothing else like those powerful camelbacks that give out possibly the best airtime moments not just on a wooden coaster, but on any coaster period. A back car ride on Toro will have you launched out of your seat on that elite first drop, and on every other ejector airtime moments as well. I have talked about this ride in detail in my Great Adventure ranking, so I would highly recommend checking that one out after this video if you want my complete thoughts on this ride. But this is pretty much the Cliff Notes version of it. Basically, I believe Toro is the quintessential wooden coaster with just enough roughness to give it its identity. There are a couple flaws that hold it back from perfection, namely the lackluster middle section and the random rough patches here and there, but it is carried by the elite airtime. Again, go check out my Great Adventure rank for my full thoughts on this, but for now, I cannot recommend a ride on Toro enough for its elite airtime alone. At number 4 is going to be Wildcat's Revenge, an RMC hybrid at Hershey Park. Going into my first rides on this, I heard that this would be an aggressive ride, and that is 100% true. When running at its best, Wildcat is probably the most aggressive RMC out there, as its sequencing combined with its fast pace creates an out-of-control experience. All the elements featured on Wildcat are standouts, and it is very difficult to pick out which one I like best. We could go with the world's largest underflip that whips riders upside down immediately after the first drop, or perhaps the zero-G stall, which manages to give out hang time even when it is running fast. My favorite aspect of Wildcat, however, is the many unique airtime moments. There are some elements here that don't look like they would give out airtime, but somehow they do, such as both of the wave turns. The undeniable best moment of the ride, in my opinion, is the first camelback coming out of the underflip. This hill gives out an incredible amount of sustained ejector airtime, and can be felt from anywhere within the train. Of course, as you know, airtime is my favorite aspect of coasters, so it is no secret why I love this ride with its unique ways of delivering airtime. To conclude the ride, the double rolls are surprisingly good and somehow manage to pop you out of your seat when sitting in the front row. With its unique layout for an RMC and aggressive nature, Wildcat solidifies itself as a top 5 coaster in my opinion. Now for the top 3. These next 3 coasters were very hard to rank given how good each of them are and make an argument for the best coaster. However, my number 3 is Velocicoaster, an Intamin Blitz at Universal's Islands of Adventure. The definitive full package experience. Velocicoaster combines great theming with an already incredible coaster. Inside the Raptor paddock is already a good coaster on its own with the Immelman, dive loop, and many solid airtime moments. Adding on top of that the amazing rock work it weaves through, in addition to the Raptor statues, the first half of this ride is elite on its own. Of course, this is not the end of the ride, as once the train hits that second 70-mile-per-hour launch, things really start getting nuts. The back row airtime off that top hat is incredible and is just a warm-up for what is to come. Intamin is known for getting creative with their elements and how they approach them, and the zero-G stall here on Velocicoaster is certainly unique in the way that the entry and exit twists are opposite to each other, making for a somewhat corkscrew maneuver. Following this is a solid spaghetti bowl with no real standout element other than the outer bank, but still serves a good purpose to turn around while doing something interesting. Then comes the highlight of the ride, and quite possibly the best inversion in the world. I am of course talking about the Mosasaurus roll. What do I say about this that hasn't been said already? It's quick, whippy, and of course over the water, which gives it an additional fear factor. This coaster simply cannot be beat. However, there are still 2 coasters better than it. Coming in at number 2 is Steel Vengeance, an RMC hybrid at Cedar Point. A marathon of an experience, with plenty of great airtime moments. Where do I start with this ride? All 3 halves are incredible on their own, and bring this ride together nicely. The first half acts as a true hypercoaster with large swooping elements that deliver some great flowjector airtime. We cannot forget about that insane outer bank that whips you into it, gives out some great airtime, then immediately whips you out of it, making for an incredible element and is a standout of the first half. The first half inversions are decent, but there is one in particular that stands out for me, and that is the Flying Snake Dive. This is such a unique inversion that has both flow and whip at the same time, which feels impossible but is somehow executed well. Unfortunately, I do have to address the elephant in the room, that being the mid-course. All of my rides on this have been with the trims on, and while I may not be the best one to confirm this, I still know the potential that this ride can have with them off. Regardless, the second half is still amazing with back-to-back airtime moments very similar to Twisted Timbers. Aside from 2 0G rolls, every single element in the second and third halves are airtime hills, with every single one of them delivering some excellent ejector airtime. I don't really see how this ride might be repetitive as some enthusiasts may say, since most of the ride time is at least spent doing something interesting. Overall, this is a near perfect ride, deserving all the hype that it gets, but gets beat out by just one more coaster. And my favorite coaster as of 2025 is Iron Gwazi, an RMC hybrid at Busch Gardens, Tampa. Incredible how RMC can transform a somewhat irrelevant coaster into one of the best in the world. Just goes to show how good these coasters are, and they went all out with Iron Gwazi. Elite pacing, elite sequencing, elite airtime. This ride has all my favorite aspects of coasters combined into one intense experience. Every single element can make their argument as the standout. However, only one rises above them all, and that is of course the death roll. I don't know how or why RMC did this, but this inversion rivals the Mosasaurus roll as the best in the world, and it's not even close. The amount of whip you get in the back row as the train picks up speed is indescribable and feels like it lasts forever. Alongside this out-of-control inversion is the complements of many intense transitions and airtime moments. For example, the wave turn over the station is a great moment of sustained flowjector airtime, and is also an element that seems to go on forever. Following this is an amazing sequence of great transitions, an amazing stall, and an airtime finale that caps off this ride nicely. There are way too many great things about this ride I could talk about in just a single video, but for now, I'll wrap up this segment by giving all of my praise to this beast of a ride, and is absolutely deserving of my #1 spot. That will just about do it for my top 10 ranking in 2025. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below, or even what would be on your own top 10 coasters. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and of course subscribe for more theme park content. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great day.